Hi folks, this is Jay. Hope you're okay today. It's good to see you. Just making a quick video, and basically the atheists seem to be in a bit of a crisis when it comes to presuppositional apologetics. They kind of think that they've dealt with it, but I think deep down they're kind of showing that they really don't understand it. Here's a guy who is a pretty good atheist apologist. His name is Grappling Ignorance. Okay, so let's just see what he has to say about presuppositional apologetics.
They claim persistently that this God they have presupposed into existence is something that all people know exists, including the atheists who by definition don't believe it exists. When interviewed on the Thinking Atheist podcast, Sai insisted that atheists who don't believe in God are really just suffering from personal and or psychological issues that prevent them from admitting they believe in God. Perhaps they just want to be God themselves. How easy a lawyer's job would be if all that was needed was to step into a courtroom and inform the skeptical judge and jury that they know the client is innocent, and if they don't know that, they're suffering from some psychological or personal ailments. Again, you have to wonder how many cases an attorney would win with that kind of argument. At this point, the absurdity of their claims should be painfully evident, and time after time they have had simple analogies drawn for them to show the special pleading and cognitive dissonance that their argument requires of them. It was proposed to them multiple times by Thunderfoot that all of their claims about God were true for what he symbolically called the ghost that never lies. It's an analogy that anyone can make using anything so long as it's granted the same attributes they grant their God without a scrap of evidence for it.
So that's the atheist there talking about presuppositional apologetics. I'll put a link to the video, and I'll put a link to Sai Brugengate, who's an advocate of presuppositional apologetics. The thing about the atheists, what they don't realise is most of the responses, if not all the responses that I've seen by the atheist on presuppositional apologetics, is what they don't realise is it was developed by Cornelius Van Til, and he spent a lot of time working on presuppositional apologetics. He was a bit of an expert in Hegelian philosophy. He was an Orthodox evangelical Christian. So, in other words, there was a sort of deep academic reflection in presuppositional apologetics done in the 1930s, 40s, 50s and 60s by Cornelius Van Til, alright, who was a philosophical genius. Alright. Now, after Van Til, there was a couple of his students like John Frame, etc., and others who developed Van Til's ideas and sort of simplified them for the general audience. And then people like Sai Brugengate have popularized presuppositional apologetics. But here's the ruse. Sai Brugengate is only advocating a particular type of presuppositional apologetics. Alright, there's various types that came after Van Til. Alright, so that's one thing. Another thing is Van Til didn't like the word being used, presuppositional. So what does this mean? What it means is the atheists are showing total, complete, utter lack of scholarship on this presuppositional apologetics. Not one of them yet has shown any ability to grapple with the literature of presuppositional apologetics. At the moment they're taking pot shots at Sai Brugengate, who is a popular presuppositional apologist, but it's his own spin, it's his own way of looking at presuppositional apologetics. The issue about presuppositional apologetics, which the atheists have not kind of got yet, which Thunderfoot, Concordance, this guy and all the sort of major atheists that have made pot shots at the moment is the main issue they've not got is you cannot account for three things: science, alright, in terms of contingency. You've got, say, a law in science, and for example, tomorrow morning, you don't know when you wake up there's going to be a tomorrow morning, but you presume there's going to be. Why do you presume that? It's not just because you expect the laws of nature to continue. Presuppositional apologetics would say you know inherently that there's something behind the laws, keeping the laws going, that you can trust that tomorrow is not going to be chaos, but tomorrow is going to be orderly. Okay? There is going to be a tomorrow. So presuppositional apologetics accounts for logic, contingency in science, and thirdly, morality. When you presuppose the Christian God, if you presuppose atheism, or if you presuppose any other worldview, you cannot account for these three aspects of reality. Alright? So that is the evidence of the Christian God. That is what one of the main things that Van Til was trying to get across. Alright? That is what presuppositional apologetics is trying to get across. Alright? But you're failing to recognise that's the main issue. How these things are, well, Cy Brugengate has explained it a little bit. You need to listen to the lectures of Cornelius Van Til. You need to study John Frame and get to grips with in more detail about how this is the case. But I can tell you this, that Concordance, Thunderfoot, this guy and the atheist community are not even beginning to grapple with the issues, and you're not being intellectually honest in dealing with the issues. And taking pot shots at Cy Brugengate is not solving the problem, because Cy Brugengate is doing it in a way that he has taken presuppositional apologetics and he has taken a particular side of it. That's not necessarily representative of how presuppositional apologetics is on an academic level and has been produced by Cornelius Van Til, who is the principal architect of this. And until you deal with Van Til and what he says, you haven't even begun to scratch the surface of presuppositional apologetics. So you're in a bit of a crisis, atheist, because at the moment you are taking these pot shots, but intellectually you're showing a total lack of any intellectual integrity, because you're showing no scholarship whatsoever. Not one of you atheists out there has quoted Cornelius Van Til. Not one of you has quoted any of his books, presented any arguments from his books and said, well, this is Cy Brugengate, he's a popularizer of this presuppositional, but actually he's not the heavyweight. Cornelius Van Til was the heavyweight. These are the better arguments of presuppositionalists, and even though Cy Brugengate is saying this is the real stuff that we've really got to deal with. This is the heavyweight academic stuff that we've got to argue against, as well as this Brugengate. But you've not even done that. And then you've got Gordon Clark, another one who was a famous presuppositionalist, who was at the time of Cornelius Van Til, took Cornelius Van Til's ideas but presented it in a different slant. And there was debates about whether logic was part of God or separate from God between Van Til and Clark, which has never been spotted by the atheist community. Never been spotted. You see, what I'm saying is, as atheists, you always lack scholarship. It's always been the case with you atheists. You always lack scholarship. You never really go into it in a deep way. You always take popular pot shots. I'm actually reading through the works of Cornelius Van Til at the moment. I'm going through Gordon Clark. I'm going through other students after Cornelius Van Til. So I'm getting into the scholarship of this stuff, whereas you atheists haven't even begun to get into it. You're in a bit of a crisis on this one, and admit it. Take care, atheists, and God bless.